Okay, so it's with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences Teaching Excellence Awards ceremony. I'm standing in today for Alison Simpson, the Associate Dean Education, who unfortunately can't be here, but I'm delighted to be able to step into her shoes, and I also have some comments to pass on from her too. So this is one of the highlights of the faculty's year in terms of being able to get friends, family and colleagues together to celebrate the teaching excellence that we see in our classrooms every day of the year. Alison sent her notes, thank you for the extra volume there, and sent her disappointment that she's not able to be here today. She says that the awards this year particularly represent the progress that the faculty has made, building a culture where staff and students collaborate in curriculum design, explore innovative delivery modes, support student engagement, and improve inclusivity. These awards are just a small reward for all of the efforts that many of our colleagues are taking to design and disseminate their outstanding teaching practices. Alison says she applauds your intellectual curiosity and your drive for excellence, and I agree with her. This year, I think it's important to also note that we're in a period of change in curriculum in the faculty and in the university. There's been a lot of changes in the undergraduate curriculum, presenting quite a lot of challenges, but also opportunities. And today we're going to see many examples of colleagues who've responded to this challenge and taken the opportunity to redevelop and redesign courses and put the student experience right at the centre of how they approach their teaching. We've got awards tonight for colleagues across all 6 schools and across all academic levels, from our tutors, our early career researchers, and all the way through to professors. So instead of me standing here and talking for too long, I think we should get on to the main part of the ceremony, and I'll hand over to the Dean.
Thanks, Hayley, and Alison in her absence. As Hayley's indicated, we've got a lot of acknowledgements to make to excellent teaching colleagues in our midst, but before we go there, we've got the very important primary acknowledgement to make, our acknowledgement of country. I like to get groups of people to think for a moment about what we do when we make such an acknowledgement, what it means for us collectively and for us individually. And it's important for me to think, and also therefore to say, that an acknowledgement of country is not just a form of words said by the person who's up the front. It's a collective engagement. It's a group acknowledgement of something. What does it mean to acknowledge? I'm guessing it means different things for different people, but minimally it means giving some mental time, some space to thinking about what country means. So on your behalf then, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. As we all know, it's on their traditional lands that the University of Sydney was built, land that was never sold and never ceded. And so it's useful for us who work on this land and who visit it regularly across our everyday working lives to think about what that means for us in the context of our life as academics at the University of Sydney. Hayley's already indicated that this is one of the most sort of fun events in our faculty calendar, and I have to agree. I was talking to colleagues before and I said, you know, this awards event is getting sort of swankier and swankier, and then I had to kind of correct myself and say, no, a couple of years ago we got to the correct degree, exactly the right level of swank, and we're just holding it there. Because otherwise we would have to be, I don't know, eating out of bathtubs of caviar or something next year. I'm not quite sure where we could take it, and all thanks to Tanya Doliveris, who puts together this event with a great deal of effort and thought, but also makes it genuinely feel celebratory. Not something that's happening sort of tucked away in a corner, but actually a really public celebration of teaching excellence in the faculty. Hayley and Alison, through her comments, have also indicated how important and valuable teaching is and must be for us as a faculty. Often I think for tertiary academics, teaching is a bit invisible, not your own hopefully, but the teaching of colleagues. It's often something, unless you're team teaching, it's often something that takes place sort of in private, even to the extent sometimes that academics are a bit leery about letting anyone get too near their teaching, shy almost about being exposed in that sort of teaching register in front of colleagues who don't usually see us in that mode. And yet it's kind of crucial, and never more crucial than now, as we've just launched the first year of a transformed curriculum whose transformations are going to have to keep unwinding until at least the fourth year, and then on sort of hopefully for several decades more. But also, as some of the very important global university ranking mechanisms are starting to include teaching quality as part of their reputational profile, it'll again be really important for us that we get this right. And above all else, as the university at the highest level starts to focus on the quality of our students' experience in and out of the classroom, we've really got to pull together to make sure that teaching is maintained as one of our really important priority focuses. So it's great to see a relatively full hall here this afternoon, and great to see people mingling and chatting with colleagues and family and friends coming along. It's fantastic. I'm very pleased to see you all here. We're going to move to now the formal kind of awards part of the ceremony, which I seem to remember last year is where I smiled so hard for so long that I gave myself a cheek rictus, so I'll try not to do that again this year. But please know that you're very welcome to stay after the official part of the ceremony and continue celebrating with your colleagues and family members. Thanks.
Thank you. So just to give you an outline of how we're going to go about this, we'll start off with the Dean's Citation for Excellence in Tutorials. We'll go on to the Teaching Excellence Awards, and then we have 4 of our award winners who will give a brief speech about their approach to teaching excellence. So we'll start off with the Dean's Citation for Excellence in Tutorials, and this award recognises and rewards tutors who engage in innovative and reflective teaching practices that benefit student learning. So our first winner, Emma Barlow. Melinda Cooper. Claire Gollidge. And also friends and family can come and take a photo at the same time if you'd like to come and join our official photographer. Next we have Erin Kimrich. Nicola Markovina.
I'd like to take a moment, if I may, to invite my mother, Dr. Annabelle Markovina. Now, it's okay, she's from the science faculty, but I hope you'll make her welcome in the arts. And my brother, Yarli Markovina, who's also from the arts faculty, if they'd like to pose. Is this part of our podcast? Is this around?
So we will also have some time at the end of proceedings if we want to have family groups as well. Though if you have a family group ready to go, then just have them set up so we can keep things moving. Excellent. So next up, Kyle Moore. Jennifer Nicholson. And Rachel O'Brien. Benedetto Passarati. Felipe Paleo. Samantha Poulos. Sertan Saral. Nadia Sorensen. And finally, but certainly not least, Christopher Walker. So in the Dean's Citation for Excellence in Tutorials, we also award some with distinction when we have a particularly exceptional application. And this year we have one award with distinction to Mayuma Fakudi Odi. So now we'll move on to the Teaching Excellence Awards, and here we have two categories for the first time this year, both for early career academics and for non-early career academics, let's say. So we'll start off with the non-early career academics and then we'll move on. But I will also note at this point that one of the things we did this year for the first time was ask our academics to also submit artifacts that demonstrate their teaching approaches. And hopefully some of those we can use to share the examples of best practice that we saw in these awards. So we're looking forward to seeing these converted into teaching tips so that all of our colleagues can benefit from the ideas. So for our Excellence in Teaching Awards, our first recipients, Kathy Burgess. Adam Morton. And the next recipient is Madeline Pill. Jessica Richards. Andres Rodriguez. Now we have two colleagues who are not able to be here today because they're overseas, who I will acknowledge together, David Smith and Electra Spandago. And finally in this category, Katrine Stevens. So now turning to the early career category, and we start off with one award made with distinction for a particularly outstanding application, Nazreen Bashir. And now we have Donna Westbratz. And next, Beatriz Caballero Carrera. And the next recipient is Gorana Gergic. Isabel Hess. And now Stuart Jackson. Macarena Otis Jimenez. And once again, a colleague who's currently overseas and sends his apologies, Samuel Chappal. And our final award winner for the day, Clara Sitvan. Thank you. So now we're going to hand over to 5 of our award winners who are going to tell us a bit about how they've engaged with excellence in teaching. So we're going to start off with Nazreen Bashir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I was asked to prepare a couple of minutes on why I received the award. I think many of us in the faculty and across the university are excellent teachers, and I will share some of what the students said in the university or the surveys at the end. I think one main thing they appreciated about the Arabic lessons is the sense of community. They said mainly because it's a small class, because we spend 90% of the time doing pair and group activities, they're having fun. They never feel bored, that's what I was told. Hopefully they're not just complimenting. So the sense of community, that they don't feel lost at a big university and a small classroom is like family for them. The second reason I think is, for me personally, I feel constant support from my colleagues in the Arabic department. I have 100% freedom, which is rare, 100% confidence, like, yeah, it's your thing, do it, and we believe you can do it right. If you need any help, ask us. So that's at the department level. Across the school, I'm in constant conversation with colleagues from Japanese, from French, from Spanish, Italian. We're always talking about teaching. And the thing for me personally, I know the students by name, I know their stories, I know what they want to do. I talk to them about what they want to do next and help them talk about it. So they feel a personal connection. That's what I think they said in their surveys, that I know them and I believe in them. I also let them know that I believe in them. I don't have excellent student, average student, or lower ability student. It's always on the positive. Yes, you can do it, and you're visible. I see you, and I know that you can learn and you can achieve what you want. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
And next I'll invite up Adam Morton.
Thank you everybody for coming. I want to start just by acknowledging the amazing work that Tanya and Alison do year in, year out in bringing this together. And obviously for making such a fantastic decision this year as well. I also want to acknowledge actually the amazing teaching that we have in my department, which is the Department of Political Economy. Since I've been at the University of Sydney since 2014, awardees have included Elizabeth Hill, Gareth Bryant, who's here tonight, and Damien Cahill, who I saw somewhere. They're really fantastic teachers, amazing colleagues to work with, and I certainly expect applications in the future from those that are in the department that have not yet been acknowledged. We were asked to talk about some of what we deliver in the classroom, and I've decided to actually ignore that advice and talk more about the ethos or the spirit, or what I want to call the sparkle that one tries to bring to teaching. And that sparkle is very much inspired actually by Amy, my daughter, who's here this evening to sort of celebrate the occasion. Each day almost, Amy comes home from school with sparkle in her eyes. She glowingly talks about the teachers that she experiences at school, the subject matter that she's learning and is exposed to, and she also has sparkle and pride in the work that she engages with on a daily basis within her homework and her studies. Now, it might be a bit too much to expect University of Sydney students to have that same sort of sparkle, so that's not what I'm advocating. What I am advocating is that ourselves as students, as people of pedagogy, should try and retain that sort of sparkle and that sort of spirit when we enter into the classroom. And for me, some people may see it as madness in my eye, but I like to think of it as sparkle in my eye when I'm talking about my subject matter, the discipline of political economy, and how to try and bring everyday experiences into the classroom that can explore sometimes these quite abstract ideas. So really all I want to talk about tonight is, maybe appropriately in relation to an evening of celebration, is about sparkle, and how as teachers we should try and bring that into the classroom to then inspire our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and now we'll invite up Andres Rodriguez.
Thank you so much for this wonderful award, for this invitation. I'd very much like to thank my department. There is, of course, a lot of team effort involved. I'd like to particularly thank Mike McDonald there, who nudged me into putting in an application. Also Beck Plum, who's been so valuable in creating the best teaching experience for our students. I also am very grateful for the inclusive space about having our children here. Although my children had better ideas for Halloween, of course, and just could not convince them. I did actually engage with the question because I thought I had something special to say about maybe about what's happening in the world and what I teach. And this is very rare. I'm actually reading something rather than, as I would do in my lectures. But I thought it was important to make the point very clear. I'm a specialist in modern China, and I have the privilege of leading hundreds of students on their journey to make sense of a very complicated history of China in the 20th century. At Sydney Uni, I have students from all sorts of backgrounds, many of them eager to break out of the Eurocentric shell. I should also know that many of my students are Chinese, who openly tell me they are curious to see how Western societies see China and how their history is taught in a place like Australia. This rich student body makes each semester a unique learning experience for all of us in the classroom. Chinese students with personal ties to the region might share unique memories of family histories. Students from other disciplines such as archaeology, classics, bring their own particular understandings of what comprises evidence. So this is the question. How do we go about in bringing these experiences into the classroom? How can we create the space for those who are not inclined to speak in class or perhaps lack the confidence as non-native speakers of English? After all, there is no effective student learning if we cannot hear the voice of the student. I took it upon myself to find a way that would allow students to express what was going on in their minds as they began to prepare for tutorials. I'm sure many of you will agree that sometimes we can obtain results with simple yet meaningful changes. This meant rethinking the tutorial as a meeting that begins when students sit down to read, rather than when the clock in the classroom says so. Together with the amazing Beck Plum, who's over there, we designed this simple platform allowing students to submit any meaningful thoughts, reflections, or comments on what they had encountered. The response was overwhelming. Intellectual curiosity unleashed. Chinese students ventured into their own wartime family histories or drew upon their own cultural backgrounds, which I would then address in class. Creating this space for students that allows them to listen to their voice and each other's voice is a meaningful way to help them understand how they relate to the world, learn about who they are. Now, you will no doubt recognize in these words the trappings of cultural competence, key skill in helping students acknowledge and respect the rich diversity of our world. And in these days of anger that shake the world at so many levels, I hope my contribution to the learning experience of students will help dispel the clouds of hatred and racism that seem to be gathering over our horizons. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Katrine Stevens.
Good evening. First of all, I'd also like to start thanking some of my colleagues in the School of Economics, especially the people who've nominated me for this award, Stephen and Christian, and of course the team in the faculty that deals with these teaching awards. So thank you very much. It's a highly appreciated acknowledgement of effort put into teaching, really. So in my case, so I've also taken the task. I've taken the task, so I'll talk briefly about what we have done in a unit in economics. So in my case, I've been teaching a first year unit in economics, which has a very large student cohort, so about 800 or more students each semester. You can imagine that's a very impersonal environment, both for students but also for instructors. So in that context, my aim was to promote student learning basically by creating opportunities for interaction between students and staff as well, so that people don't feel they're just a number out of the large bunch of students, and also to promote engagement with the materials, which is quite difficult in such a large group. So what I've done, I've basically embraced technology. It might sound quite impersonal, but I think we have achieved a little bit of the goals at least. So one of the technologies we used was we introduced the use of an audience response system in lectures. So basically we post throughout the class, we post some questions and people can respond using their smartphones basically. And so it engages them in lectures. We we gauge their understanding, we can also challenge their understanding and respond straight away to, some lack of insights, or if we have not explained something particularly well, for example. So that was highly appreciated by students. Then a second type of technology we've used is we've basically intensively used a kind of a discussion board, but a very user-friendly one. We've been posting a lot of additional materials on there for students who were a bit more advanced already in their economics knowledge. And then finally, we've also embraced a kind of a system developed at university, a student engagement and response system where we've aimed to provide personalized feedback to students based on their marks for various types of assessment, based on their attendance in tutorials. And well, we've also tried to include some advice about study advice. Of course, not super personalized, but based on the stock of information we have for each student, basically. And so I think that technology has really made it the management of such a large class possible, and based on the feedback received and the unit of study results, it has clearly improved student learning as well. So I'm very happy we've tried to engage with these technologies. Thank you.
Thanks, Katrine. And our final speaker is Kathy Burgess.
Hi, I'll be quick because we need a drink. I think it's been going on. Look, firstly, you don't teach in a vacuum, so I'd just like to thank people like Claire Gollidge, who got an award today, Katrina Thorpe, Lyd Riley, and other people in the Aboriginal education team who all contribute to what's quite a difficult area to work in. We undertake a learning from country philosophy, a bit like what Anne-Marie was saying at the beginning. So what we do is we believe in, we have an ethical commitment to understand the country we're learning on, understand the country we're teaching on, and pass that information onto our students, not ourselves, but through Aboriginal people in the area. So we make contact and work closely with Aboriginal people in the local area, from places like the Tribal Warrior Association, the Aboriginal Housing Company, the Redfern Community Centre, the Kinchela Boys Home Aboriginal Corporation, and we ask those people to come and talk to our students, and we also take them out on country. So, for instance, with the Tribal Warrior Association, they have a cultural harbour cruise, which is a lot of fun actually. It's nice to be on the harbour instead of in the classroom. And so they take them out to Clark Island and do some cultural activities from them. And I guess what we want to achieve from that is we want our students to go out and become teachers, and the first thing they think about is, what land am I teaching on? Where am I teaching? What is the culture of the area? And that should be the foundation of everything I then do as a teacher, from curriculum to pedagogy to the way in which we organise the school, should all be around Aboriginal community protocols and ethical positions about the First Nations people. So we have been doing that now for a couple of years, and we're doing some research about it, and we also have a lot of positive feedback from the Aboriginal community who are really excited about having an impact on the future teachers of their children, going into schools and making a difference. And these kids, I guess an example is one of the students says, I now go home from university to where I live. I think it's at Narrabeen or something like that. And I look at where I am and I try and think about what that means from an Aboriginal viewpoint. And that's how I want to approach my teaching. So I think if we can do that, we can start to make a real difference in education in this country, and certainly for the Aboriginal students that we teach who are struggling in a fairly antipathetic system at the moment. So I guess that's our social justice agenda, I suppose, and also I guess that sense of an ethical commitment to what's important. Thanks.
Thank you to all of our speakers and to all of our award winners. I think those 5 comments on how people approach excellence in teaching really show the range of different disciplines that are within the faculty, but also the commonalities across everybody who teaches. We don't teach in a vacuum, as Kathy just said. Everybody talked about the communities of teachers within their schools, within their disciplines that they work with, and we all rely on our colleagues in that way. I think everybody also touched on the diversity of our student body and how it's growing more diverse, and that's a challenge in many ways, but it can also be a strength, and we have to adapt the way that we approach things to ensure that all of our students are included, sometimes using technologies to deal with large numbers of students. I like the idea of trying to make students feel that they're not just a number, especially as we've just moved into anonymous marking, where we do require students to label all of their work with a number and not their name. So just more of the challenge that we have in terms of really engaging with our students. But we've got some great examples here amongst our award recipients today of ways that we can handle that challenge, and we've got hopefully some great teaching tips that will be able to spread those ideas around the whole of the faculty. Now, I think that was a good sign that I should start wrapping up. One of the best sounds I think that there is. There is a couple of important things that I do need to say first. The first thing that I need to do is acknowledge Tanya Dulaveras for all of her hard work. So Tanya doesn't just organise this event, she organises the whole of the Teaching Awards process from start to finish, and it's been a very enjoyable thing to be a part of, so thank you for all of that work. And have another clap. I'll also acknowledge all of Alison Simpson's work as well, who of course sends her apologies. Before we do close the formal proceedings, I do just want to say that all of you who have received awards, please don't run away too quickly. We do want to get some group photos of all of the award recipients, some by school in different categories, so please stay reasonably close by so we can bring you back for those photos. But I think I would really just like to finish by extending my congratulations to all of the award recipients today. Thank you very much.